Isabel had always been close to her brother, Liam, who had been her protector since childhood. However, life took an unexpected turn when she started spending more time with Noah, Liam's best friend. Noah was everything Isabel admired: charismatic, funny, and always willing to listen. Their friendship grew quickly, but Isabel struggled to control her feelings for him. She knew that revealing her emotions could ruin not only their friendship but also her relationship with her brother. One night, while Liam was out with friends, Isabel and Noah decided to meet at a party. The atmosphere was light and carefree, laughter echoed through the house as music pulsed in the background. As the night went on, the barriers Isabel had built began to crumble. Between drinks and intimate conversations, she gave in to passion and found herself sharing a fiery kiss with Noah. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. However, what should have been a liberating moment quickly turned into a nightmare. Liam arrived unexpectedly at the party and, upon entering the room, found the two of them in an intimate embrace. The look of shock on his face was enough to freeze time. Isabel felt her heart race as a wave of panic washed over her. The silence in the room was deafening as all eyes turned to them. "Isabel, what are you doing?" Liam shouted, his voice filled with disbelief and betrayal. The festive atmosphere quickly dissolved into an emotional battlefield. Isabel tried to explain that it wasn't what it seemed, but the words failed her. Noah stood frozen by her side, unable to find a way out of the embarrassing situation. The tension escalated as Liam demanded answers. "You knew this was wrong. How could you do this to me?" He looked at Noah with a mixture of anger and pain. His childhood friend now appeared to him as a traitor. Isabel tried to intervene, but every word she spoke seemed to make things worse. The party quickly dissipated into murmurs and curious glances. Friends began to quietly leave the room, leaving the three of them alone in the middle of the emotional chaos. The situation became unbearable when Liam confronted Noah directly. "You're my best friend. How could you do this to me?" The betrayal was written all over his face. Noah tried to justify his actions, but every attempt felt emptier than the last. "I didn't want this to happen. I love Isabel," he finally said, his voice trembling. His words cut through Liam like a knife. From that moment on, everything changed. The friendship between the three was destroyed in a matter of minutes. Liam distanced himself from both of them, unable to cope with the pain of the betrayal. Isabel was devastated. She had never intended to create such a rift between them. The weight of guilt began to consume her as she tried to understand how things had reached this point. In the days that followed, the tension at home was palpable. Liam avoided any contact with Isabel and Noah. Each of them grappled with their own confusing emotion. Isabel tried to reach out to her brother to explain her perspective and apologize, but he refused to listen. The pain in his eyes was unbearable. She knew she had crossed a line that could never be undone. Noah, too, struggled to make sense of what had happened. He still had feelings for Isabel, but the guilt of having hurt Liam consumed him completely. Their conversations became cold and distant. Everything that had once been fun and light now felt heavy and dark. Weeks passed, and the emotional wounds only seemed to deepen. The family dynamic was irreversibly altered. Shared laughter was replaced with awkward silences during family dinners. Isabel missed the bond she had with her brother and the light-hearted friendship she once shared with Noah. One day, after an especially heated argument with Liam about the state of things, Isabel decided to go out to clear her head. She walked to a nearby park where they used to play as children. The memories of those happy days were now a painful reminder of what had been lost. As she wandered through the park, she spotted Noah sitting alone on a secluded bench, staring at the ground as if lost in thought. Hesitant, she approached him. Both were acutely aware of the tension between them. "We need to talk," she finally said, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Noah looked up and nodded slowly. "I know. I'm sorry for all of this." Isabel sat down beside him and took a deep breath before speaking again. "I never wanted to hurt Liam or you. I let myself get carried away." Tears began to stream down her face as she spoke. "Me too," Noah responded softly. "But now it feels like we've lost everything." The conversation flowed between them. They expressed their frustrations and fears about the uncertain future of the relationships they had built over the years. Yet, even as they spoke about their genuine feelings for one another, they both knew that something fundamental had changed, something that might never be repaired. Time passed, and the interactions between them remained tense and complicated. Liam still refused to speak to Isabel. He was deeply hurt and unable to forgive what he saw as an unforgivable betrayal. One particularly difficult night for Isabel, she decided to visit her brother in the hope of having an honest conversation about everything that had happened. Nervously, she knocked on the door. When Liam opened it, his expression was cold and distant. "Isabel," he said curtly, "what do you want?" She hesitated before replying. "I just want to understand. I want to apologize for hurting you." Liam crossed his arms defensively and shook his head. Don't you get it? It's not just about you hurting me. It's about breaking our trust. His words cut like sharp blades, leaving Isabel feeling powerless in the face of the pain she had caused her beloved brother. Please, she pleaded, I want to fix this. There's nothing to fix, Liam replied coldly before shutting the door in her face. Isabel stood there for a few moments, realizing she had lost not only a romantic relationship but also an unbreakable sibling bond. The weight of guilt pressed down on her again as she slowly walked back home. Life went on without any significant changes. The days dragged on as Isabel tried to move forward but couldn't stop thinking about Noah or her brother. The longing became unbearable. Every memory brought back suppressed emotion, lost love mixed with deep regret. Over time, Isabel realized she couldn't keep living like this, trapped between two broken worlds without knowing how to repair them or move on without them. Life had its own unforgiving rules. Some choices were irreversible and left deep scars on the most precious relationship. She finally concluded that she needed to leave it all behind, both Noah and Liam, to find some semblance of inner peace again. On a quiet night under the bright stars in the dark sky, she packed her bags and left for a new place where she could start her life over, far from the painful memories of the past. The decision was difficult. Leaving loved ones behind is never easy, but sometimes it's necessary to heal wounds too deep to mend in the same place where they were inflicted. Isabel moved to a nearby town where no one knew her story or the complicated relationships she had left behind. At first, it felt liberating. She could walk the streets without being reminded of the painful past or the people whose hearts had been broken by her impulsive choices. However, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the emptiness began to fill her heart again. Though she was physically distant from her family conflicts and the love she had lost with Noah, the memories still haunted her thoughts during the lonely hours of the night. She tried to distract herself by picking up new hobbies, painting classes here, book clubs there, but nothing seemed to fill the void left by their absence in her life. During these superficial social activities, she often recalled the deep conversations she had shared with Noah or the warm nights spent laughing with her brother. One day, while walking through the local park, a very different place from the one she used to visit with Liam, she came across a group gathered around an artist painting outdoors. The vibrant colors on the canvas stirred something within her. Perhaps it was time to rediscover her own passion for art. Thus began her journey into painting, a dream she had always harbored but never pursued due to familial expectation. Over time, she spent hours immersed in painting, each brushstroke helping her process repressed emotions about lost love and familial betrayal. Yet, even as she delved into this new creative world filled with vibrant colors and intriguing forms, the shadow of her past lingered over her like a dark cloud, threatening to pour rain on her seemingly peaceful new life. One evening, during a local exhibition where her works were displayed for the first time since her move, something unexpected happened. Among the unfamiliar faces admiring her pieces, her eyes locked onto someone familiar. Noah was there. He looked as out of place as she felt at that moment. Both were caught off guard by each other's presence in this new space, where they had hoped to leave the past behind. Their gazes exchanged unspoken emotions before he finally approached her timidly. Isabel, I didn't expect to see you here, he said softly, his voice heavy with all the accumulated pain from the months they had spent apart since that fateful night at the party. Neither did I, she replied honestly, trying to steady the turbulent emotions that rose within her at the sight of him after so much time apart. Both of them trying to move on but unsure how to navigate this new reality where deep feelings still lingered despite the mistakes of the past. They talked for hours that night under the gallery's soft lights, reminiscing about the good moments they had shared before the tragic events had irreversibly changed everything between the three of them, Liam included in the complicated equation of lost love mixed with bitter betrayal caused by the unfortunate circumstances of that fateful night months ago. Both were aware of the risks of reopening old wounds, but there was something comforting about sharing their experiences since then, how each had dealt with their own pain while trying to move forward without losing who they were in the process. But even as they chatted enthusiastically about art and dreams for the future, there was always that heavy silence lingering between them, a constant reminder of the dark past that still haunted them. And it was in that delicate moment, where everything seemed perfect again, that Noah finally confessed, I still think about us, about what we could have been. His words echoed within her like a bittersweet melody, mingled with the deep sadness of having lost true love. But then an inevitable question surfaced, and what about Liam? Have you spoken to him? His expression changed instantly at the mention of Liam's name. No. I don't know how to approach him after everything that happened. Her heart sank as she realized how difficult it would be to bring everyone together again after so much accumulated hurt. But was there still hope? An ardent desire for reconciliation hung in the tense air between them. In the days following that unexpected encounter at the gallery, both decided to take a step forward together, First, by trying to contact Liam separately, each aiming to establish respectful communication without forcing uncomfortable situations too soon. But every attempt seemed more frustrating than the last. Liam remained steadfast in his initial decision to avoid any contact with either Isabel or Noah, still unable to fully process the conflicting emotions stirred by the betrayal months ago. And so, they continued in this endless cycle, battling the ghosts of the past while trying to build new realities together, until they came to an inevitable conclusion. Perhaps it was finally time to confront this complicated situation directly, all together, in an honest conversation where they could lay bare their truths without fear or shame. The day of the delicate meeting finally arrived. They all gathered at the old house where so many memories had been created before the tragedy unfolded. The atmosphere was thick with palpable tension, each of them acutely aware of the importance of that crucial moment in their desperate attempt at reconciliation. Liam was the first to enter, his cold gaze still reflecting the pain he had carried over the past months. "What do you want?" he asked bluntly, without pretense or hesitation. "We want to talk," Isabel replied, trying to steady herself despite the growing anxiety within her. "About everything, about us." Noah quickly interjected, "Liam, we know we hurt you deeply, but we want to try to figure out how we can move forward after all of this." A heavy silence settled in the room as Liam processed their words, finally letting out a deep sigh before responding. "Do you really think it's possible to fix this, after the damage you caused?" His words cut through them like sharp blades once again, but a growing determination surged within the two of them. "Yes," Isabel said firmly now. "We have to try, for ourselves." And so began the difficult conversation, filled with tears shed over the profound pain caused by past mistakes. But there was also enough space for renewed hopes to emerge slowly as they laid their vulnerabilities bare to one another. Liam gradually began to open up about his repressed feelings, revealing all the hurt he had carried since that fateful night. As they spoke openly about their individual experiences since then, something remarkable began to happen. Emotional barriers slowly started to crumble. By the end of that intense conversation, they were all exhausted but relieved to have finally expressed their feelings without the judgments or lingering resentments that had previously clouded their interactions. It was only the beginning of this new phase in their lives, still full of challenges ahead but now accompanied by renewed hope. And so, they moved forward together on this uncertain journey toward the unknown, determined to face any future obstacles as a united family once again despite the scars left by the painful past. Yet even as they walked this new path filled with promises of renewal, they knew that some wounds would take time to heal completely. And while there was now space for reconciliation among the three of them, they could never fully forget the mistakes that had been made. Life would continue to march forward relentlessly, full of unexpected challenges waiting around every corner. But now, they had one another again as unconditional support on this uncertain journey called life. And so, they closed that dark chapter filled with deep pain, finally beginning to overcome it.